Hey there, friends. Dear buddy Brian King here. I realized I haven't done a video in a little while, so here I am. And I have a topic that I've struggled with over the years, and many of my clients, and I imagine you as well. And it's around the topic of boundaries. And typically, when we have the boundaries conversation, it's around the boundaries that you set with other people in relationships, such as not giving people permission to swear at you, or be late all the time, or treat you disrespectfully. All very healthy boundaries. The boundaries, however, that we typically don't spend a lot of time on are the boundaries people set with us. Because depending where you are in your journey, you could be the toxic person, you could be the person who puts themselves out there in a way that makes the toxic people uncomfortable. And here's the rub, is that people often decide for themselves what's toxic and what isn't. Now, there was a time where my oldest considered me a toxic person because in his mind, he needed to figure it out all by himself. He needed to be allowed to be an adult, independent, without any kind of input. And let's be honest, I was very codependent with him, and to a degree, I still am. And I'm working on that. And I would overreach. I would stick my nose in without it being asked, and that really upset him. So he cut me off for a while. That hurt like an SOB. I felt abandoned, rejected, but he felt he needed to create a hard boundary between he and I in order for him to be able to kind of collect himself and find his own way again, and when he was ready, he reached back out to me. Now, on a more simpler level, you see this in response to text messages. Let's say somebody that used to always respond very quickly to your text messages suddenly is taking longer to respond. Maybe they don't even respond at all. And if you're a people pleaser, that can get you into some really anxious rumination as to, what could I have done? Did I offend this person? Did they see a post of mine? Did I miss something of theirs? Did I say something the wrong way? And you build yourself up into this frenzy of anxiety, when the reality is it likely has nothing to do with you. Keep in mind, we're in quarantine. You know, if you're texting another parent and they suddenly have kids around the house constantly and they're trying to juggle their own stuff with their kids' stuff, do you honestly think responding to a text is going to be their highest priority like it is to you, because you are so eager to get the feedback that somebody is happy to hear from you? They're so grateful you showed up in their life, that you are such a source of positivity that they can't wait to hear from you. That's part of the people-pleasing agenda, is needing people to respond quickly and give you that affirmation that you're good enough. But here's the reality. People have their own lives, and unless you're like in their face, they're probably not keeping you top of mind. And your ego needs to be able to make peace with that. Because people have their own lives. You have your own. And if a person didn't respond to your text, what do you know for certain? You know they didn't respond to your text. That's all you know. You don't know the reasons. You don't know the why. Maybe you can see that they read it and they didn't respond. So you kick your self-talk into high gear again to explain to yourself why they didn't respond to you. And maybe you see it as a character defect in them. They're being rude. They're not being considerate of you. Well, that's all about you, isn't it? Were you reaching out to a friend to see how they were doing? Or were you reaching out a friend to calm your nerves? Because if so, that's kind of selfish. In a good way and a bad way. Separate conversation. But what this boils down to is understanding that regardless of how you feel about yourself, how well-intended you are, there are people that will not resonate with how you show up in the world. And all that means is that you were not put on this earth to please everyone. Nobody was. So if you find somebody that you had a long history with, that you swore you're going to be friends forever, you were going to grow old and meet in the coffee shop in your 80s and be buddies forever, life happens, things change, people grow, priorities change. And people need to reassign where to put their energy. And sometimes that energy that they've been giving to you needs to reduce itself or end. I can't tell you how many girlfriends have broken up with me over the years. And looking back, I had a lot to do with that. And their boundary that they set with me is to end the relationship. Saying, Bri, where I want to go, how I want to feel, you're not helping me accomplish that. So I need a hard boundary here. If somebody fires you from a job, that's setting a boundary. They're saying, we don't want you to have access to our stuff anymore because we don't feel that it's a good fit. Now, it's not to say that they're going to be that diplomatic about it. And let's face it, it hurts. It's your livelihood. It's something you invest a lot of time and energy into. But if you see it as a boundary being set is healthy for people to make, even if it's a boundary they set with you. And taking it personally is understandable, if that's kind of how you see the world. But the reality is, boundaries that are set with you are an indication that it is time for you to reflect a little bit on what you may have been bringing to that relationship that could have been perceived as toxic or hurtful or a threat to that person. It doesn't mean that you totally rework your identity and pretend to be somebody you're not just to keep that person in your life. That led me to a meltdown several weeks ago. Trying to always be who somebody needed me to be just to keep them around so I'd feel good enough. That was a miserable place to live, and I'm learning more and more on how to eliminate that kind of thinking from my life. The idea that I need to please everybody all the time in order to be lovable myself, in order to be good enough myself. Because I don't need to please everybody to be of value. I just need to be me. And I can't tell you how to be you. That's a journey that you need to take or we can take together. But by being you, by being the human being that you are going to attract the people to you that are ready for that are hungry for it. And that's exactly what I found. I'm not speaking woo-woo or idealistic. I've seen this happen in my own life and the lives of my clients, where when you are clear what you stand for, and you stand for it consistently and show that you are reliable, people will come to you. They will feel safe with you. They will trust you. They will love you for exactly who you are. And I'm not saying you can just sit down and make this switch right in your head. No, this is a process. You have to let go of some things. You have to grieve the ending or the transformation of certain relationships in your life in order to move forward, being more authentic. So this has been kind of stream of consciousness, like my scatterbrain tends to be. But hopefully there were some pearls in here that have been useful to you. If so, please share in the comments what is a takeaway for you from this. And by all means, invite other people to it if you think they can benefit from it as well. So it's back to work for me. I hope you have an amazing week. I'm always here to help you, so feel free to reach out. Until we talk again, this has been Brian. Remember, you're good enough, and I'm grateful that you are you. So thanks for being you. Take care.